Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
Rise Up Morning Show.
I get your show at 9 p.m. now. It's great.
Yeah, and it's a different time for all of our friends who are not in the United States. What is it technically?
Daylight
Earlier
savings?
for them or later for them?
Earlier.
It would be
them.
earlier.
It would be earlier. Coming
Yeah.
to you 1 hour earlier. We are so sorry.
Which
for
is
the
even
United
better
States.
for most of the odds, African and European friends.
Oh, I was gonna play this sound, but
No,
now
it's going to be better for.
that's actually much better. Okay, so let's get a ta-da. Well,
Yeah.
if you're here with us, it's morning somewhere, so time to rise up. Now, guys, I have got something fun to show you today because thanks to our friend of the show, Matt, your boy here has got a new computer, and I'm going to do it again. Ta-da again.
We're all pretty happy about it.
This
are
is
very happy
the
about it.
showcase of this thing's power. It's like driving a spaceship. It's like, you guys remember when I got a new phone and you could really see what I looked like? This is like that, but the computer version. So to showcase it, I thought I would take a stroll. This segment is brought to you by Faceless Labs from the Reckless Research Division specialist, Mihir Kotapalli. Thank you, Mihir. Big time shout out. We got a message in the Situation Room at Faceless Labs the other day from our friend Mihir, who pulled up some really interesting charts, and I want to get both of you and everybody playing along at home to give us a take on this. If you can't see the screen share, I'm going to do my best to describe it for you. Maybe, Will, you can help the folks out who are watching on
Absolutely not. I don't
TikTok.
like helping people.
Because now
Yeah.
I don't have to do the screen share anymore. Somebody else can pass it on.
Shit.
So check this out, guys. This comes to us from BitBo. And I'll let Will get it up here. What
Can
we're
I
looking
interrupt
at.
you, Evan, just to say I'm so bearish on crypto company and crypto analytics firms naming anything. It's just like
Bit.
hey,
Bitbo.
started off with bit and just slap literally anything at the end. Who gives a shit? Just bit anything.
Yeah,
And they're
It's
all
dumb.
awful.
it's a bad name. And it also
Yeah.
makes me think BitBoy, and then it just shivers go up my spine, and I go, oh, God.
Yeah, it's like BitBoy, but he couldn't quite afford it. Like the Y is out of service.
yeah, he ran out of money. He
Yeah.
couldn't sell crypto to one more person at the grocery store.
There's BitBoy, then there's BitBo. So we're looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart all time. And you will notice, Will has told us this before. If you pay attention to Will when he's talking, you know that Bitcoin dominance tends to be a lagging indicator, meaning that we tend to get a new all-time high, and then Bitcoin dominance hits an all-time high. And you'll notice here that these several cycles of Bitcoin present us with a series of lower highs and also lower lows. I want to talk about what that might mean in a second, but first, let me show you this other chart. Take note of where we are at this cycle, okay? We are at a high, a locally high. And this inflection point, this like 40 on the right-hand side of the chart, we're measuring percentages. Currently, we're at a 40% approximate Bitcoin dominance. And just about every time that we cross this line historically, we are going into that red, which doesn't necessarily mean that the price of Bitcoin is tanked. It means that altcoin season has started. Now check this out. This is a chart showing altcoin dominance. And when it's high, that's an altcoin season. And you can see here that we are also at a critical inflection point represented by this blue line on the chart. Mihir's take was, if we bounce off this line like we have every time in the past, then we can expect that finally, what
I
everyone
already
has been
hate this.
asking about,
I already hate this
altcoin
sentence.
season
yeah.
will start. I know.
I hate
And
this
then if-
sentence. Ugh. Like we
if
have
we-
every time in the. Sorry, keep going. I'm too.
You know. I'm being grandiose. And then if we go down, that this cycle, his take was, could be truly different. So first of all, shout out Mihir. Thank you very much for the research. Shout out Matt. Thanks for the rocket ship computer. And now, gentlemen, I want to know your take. The question on everybody's minds is altcoin season about to start, or are we done? Are we going home? Pack up your bags. It's over.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you follow Crypto Rover on on Twitter, altcoin season's been right around the corner for 4 months. But yeah, shots fired.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
No, so here's the thing, right? And this is becoming painfully clear. And I have, of course, also been, go back 7 months, 6 months or so, maybe even a little bit longer too, definitely longer than that also. And it's like, all right, guys, our model is the 4-year cycle. And that was true for a really long time. However, that really long time in Bitcoin was 10, 11 years or so, or 12 years, which isn't a lot of time in financial markets, right? That's a lot of time in human years. It's not a lot of time in financial years. And I mention that because those data points of the 4-year cycle being like, this is how it has to work, really wasn't that monumental in terms of like being able to say with confidence, it has to happen this way, because Bitcoin has never existed in a period of really, 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 really difficult economic times. COVID was a flash in the pan. Markets really slammed down. Money flooded in. It was a crazy outlier data point, right?
Yeah.
But the Wall Street did totally fine after a quick flash crash. We have never been in a period of an elongated bear market caused by very bearish macro factors. Inflation, unemployment, trade wars, bond markets are scaring people. Warren Buffett has 39% of his entire position in cash, which isn't necessarily a macroeconomic data point, but it's something to note. And a few other things, right? We've never been in an extended overall global market, which is way bigger than the crypto market, right? It's the global market.
Right.
We've never been in this situation. So when you look at like that blue line that you showed, where it's like, we have always bounced on this in the past. But the thing is that makes it seem like we have so much data to look at with Bitcoin, when in reality, we have 14 years or so, which again, a lot in human years, not in financial years. So
totally.
You can't say this is always going to happen, or like, hey, this is the historical trend, so it's going to happen this way, because we don't have any data points for how Bitcoin, let alone these altcoins. I mean, if you have an idea of how Bitcoin's going to do in a recession, you have an even better idea as to what altcoins are going to do, because they're just going to do what Bitcoin's going to do, but to the nth degree. We don't have any data points on how Bitcoin's going to handle a potential recession. And I say the word recession, maybe it's not going to be a recession. Maybe it's just going to be a global market downturn, right? Maybe it's not going to be as bad as a recession, but use whatever word you want.
Maybe
recession,
it's not
right?
going to be a recession. Maybe it will just be an extended period of money bad times all around.
Money
Maybe it'll
bad
be just
time.
doom. Yeah.
Red
on the chart. Yeah.
Maybe we'll redefine the word recession again, and we'll be like, well, it wasn't a recession technically, because we revised it a second time in as many years. That did happen. It did happen. The Biden administration did change the description of a recession so that we could say we weren't in it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Trump did the same thing too. I wouldn't be shocked. Right. We just keep what, in this case, raising the bar. But yeah, so anyway, I got off topic there, but to put a bow on it, we have zero idea as to how Bitcoin will behave in a recession. It looks like we're heading into one. So take all of your historical trends that we have relied on for years
and
throw that out, because we've never been in this scenario before. These are brand new data points.
Also, before we get Alex's take, I do want to use my screen share one more time to say, if you've seen the same account, tweet something along the lines, altcoin season starts now.
Wait, guys, it's a
banger tweet. As soon as you started this rant, I was like, oh shit, I got to get that tweet.
This guy's super handsome. He makes good videos. He's got a real big,
big Bitcoin.
Big Bitcoin.
Yeah. If your favorite influencer keeps telling you altcoin season is about to start, remember that William Watson said we don't have historical precedent for this. Alex, what's your take on this data? I am inclined to kind of agree with Will, and I know we talk a lot about how we just don't have the data to say this is or this isn't a trend. But I was pretty interested, especially in that Bitcoin dominance chart being so, the higher lows, lower lows.
Okay. So I agree with Will. we've been talking about the fact that we don't have as much data as we think we do, especially when you compare to the stock market for a while.
Yeah.
We are entering multiple different things that crypto has never been tested by before. I agree with all of that. We have a specific amount of data. We have just enough data to be dangerous.
Yes.
You know the phenomenon when you're trying to confirm a bias that you have about literally anything, fitness, diet, politics,
Sure.
music, take your pick. You can find something online to confirm your bias. There's a term for that. And you're just specifically looking for something to make you feel better about the opinion you already have. So if you're sitting on Twitter struggling and coping with the fact that altcoins aren't doing the thing that you've been predicting they're going to do for the past how many months, I promise you can find a chart that gives you some sort of an indicator that something big is around the corner. There are so many dumbass charts that mean so little that are worth looking at until they're not worth looking at, and it's hard to determine necessarily exactly when that is. But there's just the one thing that you can guarantee that you can rely on is the fact that markets do not like uncertainty. And I defy anybody to think of a time in the last 20 years that have been more economically uncertain than they are right now, where you have global superpowers who have been friends for ages openly beefing on Twitter as if this is now high school. You have weird economic policies that we have historical data to suggest are not going to be fantastic, especially in the short term. We have scared people. We have the rising cost of everything. We have stagnated wages. We have all sorts of things that are all coming together right now.
And China's economy has become deflationary, which is not a good thing.
And yeah, so all sorts of stuff that these things have not encountered before. And it's insane to think that, Daniel Dipshit on Twitter is just going to predict altcoin season because once upon a time there was one. I don't know. I have basically stopped looking at, or anytime I see anybody who highlights a chart for me and circles three things and says based on, I'm just like, yeah, hard pass.
Yeah.
You have no clue what you're talking about.
Sure.
Which is why we've just been preaching for how long now? Stop relying on all that kind of stuff. Stay agile. We are watching markets respond in real time to White House tweets. So if you want to rely on something, you can rely on the gamble that they're going to tweet something bullish or something bearish. And like that's as close as you're going to get.
On that point, I had a thought. I forget which news point came out, but it was who was it? I think it was like I forget who it was. It was Sutnick. What position is Sutnick? He's commerce. I forget. Whatever. Anyway,
Lutnick. You're talking about Lutnick?
Lutnick. Yes, Lutnick.
It was like Sutnick. Wait a
I
second.
was like Slutnick. Slutnick. Yeah. It's just like, keep it in high school. That'd be like a shitty high school like nickname. You make fun of someone. Lutnick's more like Slutnick. Anyway.
Not ideal.
Anyway, he came out and was like, hey, we're actually thinking about maybe rolling back those tariffs tomorrow. And I saw that and I went, oh God.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, so I should, let's see, if markets are pumping up right now, that means that tomorrow there's actually probably going to be some more news about retaliatory tariffs. So I should short the market. I'm just like, I'm now of the opinion, like any kind of like news or rumor that comes out of anybody in the White House, do the opposite and with like a longer short the next day. And honestly, you would have been really profitable. You would have been really profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
the manipulation is high.
In that sense, what are we focused on? Because I don't want it to just sound like super, totally bleak, because there's always winners, no matter what, is overall happening.
Well, for me, it's things look really bad right now, but the bullish picture for crypto specifically in the mid-ish long term is just continuing to grow in strength. The thing
But
is,
to be clear, Will, that's you're talking about the broader industry, not necessarily a bunch of specific projects.
yeah, I'm talking about the broader industry, which will be good for, bucketfuls of projects, right?
Yeah.
Not all of them, but bucketfuls, right?
Yeah.
And I've said on the show before, the timeline of events that we have kind of put out for us right now is really bad economic data. Not really bad. We have bad economic data coming out for the United States. It's not at really bad yet. We have really bad economic data coming out for the Chinese economy right now. So we have that, right? In the short term, we're not going to get anything positive out of Washington from a crypto standpoint for a while. We're not going to get Senator Cynthia Lummis's bill for a long time. And even if we do get it, which, by the way, if it were to be signed and passed, which will be difficult, the United States would buy an additional 800,000 Bitcoin and add it to their strategic Bitcoin reserve. If it does get signed, that might be cut in half, but still something, if that happens, we might get that in a year. Texas passed their strategic Bitcoin reserve, but there's no set timeline as to when they need to start buying some stuff, right? And then we have a whole bunch of other states that have strategic Bitcoin reserves.
They almost did.
Well, and
back to the House.
Oh, it went
Right.
back to
it went back to the House. Yeah, it passed the Senate. It's got to go through the House, and so we don't.
Well,
so far as I know,
but it started in the House and then it passed and went to the Senate.
Remember,
now it has to go back to the House.
Guys, I love you. I love both of you so much. Just please remember:
me.
House edits, vote, pass. Senate edits, vote, pass. House reconfirm, pass. Senate, governor, or president.
Okay,
what a great process.
Yeah, what a great process. Because I was confused because it was
Yeah.
it was like the first vote was at the I forget. I thought it was in a different order.
So the bill can originate, and then it has the opportunity to be worked on and edited and passed, and then it gets torn apart by the next house. And so just to stop the idea of the second place being able to completely wash everything that the first place passed and write it off as still something that they would have passed, it has to go back and be reconfirmed before it can go on and be ratified.
Okay, because I
signed.
remember looking at that being like, I feel like this is in a different order of things that's happening right now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Peter. Didn't we learn this in basic civics?
Yeah.
We
Right?
need some civics lessons.
Bueller? Yeah.
Apparently,
so
that's what Alex is for.
But your point, Will, is well taken. That like short term,
Yeah, but
these events are bad.
Yeah. The very
Long-term,
positive
good.
things of crypto that are going to happen. Staking being turned on for an Ethereum ETF, most likely. Solana being added as an ETF, maybe even XRP, maybe even Cardano one day. Yada yada yada.
Oh my
all these
God.
things. That's like 6+ months down the line, and in the meantime, we need. I'm going to say we need, and it's weird to say need. I'm saying this purely from an economic analyst standpoint, not from Will, the human being who cares about people and knows that a lot of pain is going to be coming to their families in the near term. But we
Sorry, it just seemed like the right time.
that fit. Yeah, you don't get to use that sound a lot.
I don't. Sorry.
But yeah, we need the economy to constrict and have a lot of pain, which means a lot of terrible things for a lot of terrible people. So that spending comes down, so that inflation comes down, and then the Fed can start printing, or not printing, but cutting rates and buying assets directly off the market, go full quantitative easing, boost liquidity, trade deals come in, and markets soar.
We can talk about like all of the specific manipulation, but we already know that, our fearless leader has publicly declared that he would like interest rates to be cut. So if it's not going to happen, then you might have to force the Fed's hand, because
Or war.
Powell said he wasn't gonna do it.
Here's one thing. I feel like I see people being like, all right, Trump said he wants to cut rates, so he's going to force Jerome Powell's hand. And I'm like, no one's forcing Jerome Powell's. Like, I find that a very just like
no,
a
but like think about
right?
this. Like, what if he wants to buy Canada? Canada says no, and he says, "Fine, I'm going to move some soldiers to your border." I don't know. Crazier things have happened, and then we're in some way in a war situation. Like now we're spending money. I could see a situation where conflict gets escalated by Trump that would push in a soft but hard way somebody like Jerome Powell to have to cut rates because of like what the economy would need. Don't you think he could do something like that? Or that he would?
No, he doesn't need to. All he needs is the economy to shrink and then inflation to go down. Like, here's the thing. I view this whole talk track as a little bit of a silly one, because at the end of the day, Jerome Powell's not going to cut rates until inflation comes down. Inflation's only going to come down if the economy it gets beaten up enough to bring it down, right? And that's just what Trump's doing. But the economy, in my personal opinion, was bound to get beat up and go down after a certain period of time. It was just it was bound to happen. It was gonna happen. It's just that Trump's making it happen sooner with the trade wars.
I kind of reject that, to be very honest with you.
Just at the end of the day, Jerome Powell's not going to make a move with interest rates until he sees inflation come down. and that's just it.
I don't know that I buy it either. I think
Nope.
I don't know. What do you go
I don't
for
know,
it,
but
Alex?
guys, we can disagree on something like that.
Well, we can. I don't know that I disagree entirely because historically, it's tough to compare this moment in history to anything else because history doesn't repeat itself; it just rhymes. But I do think that I don't know. I want to hear what everybody at home thinks. Let us know what you think. When is it coming? What's going to happen? And Alex, feel free to take over. I ultimately agree with you, Will, and especially with regard to crypto, it's like, we need policy, not just posturing and promises before people return in some way to spend their money here.
Well, we need to transition. Crypto policy wise, yes, you have to transition from campaign stump speech to getting shit done. And there are plenty of examples of things that I'm sure would be widely popular to fix. I will, every single day of my life, I will say it's bullshit that we have to pay capital gains tax and income tax on received crypto.
And that's just bullshit.
That would be so easy to fix, and it would make so many people's lives easier and better. And I don't know why we don't do that. So the only thing that I reject from what Will was saying is I just reject that people who aren't directly affected by the pain and the collateral damage of economic downsides wouldn't play games with each other to bully each other into submission using the economy as a weapon.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but if we're talking specifically about Trump's use of trade wars to, let's just say, the main purpose of it is to force Jerome Powell's hand at the Fed to lower interest rates, right? That was the conversation.
I didn't say main purpose. I just said that's a nice little side effect, and one of the reasons you'd be motivated not to do anything specifically that would just course correct or walk back anything that's having an adverse side effect, even if the original impetus for doing whatever he's doing is different than forcing Jerome Powell to do an interest cut.
Fact check yourself, brother.
Yeah, but that to me changes the initial area of where the conversation was, which was like this is the main tool, or it's a nice side benefit of course for him. He's not going to turn that down. But the reason why I say that is Trump campaigned on tariffs for a year and a half prior and continued that as a major part of his campaign, and the other countries are going to pay for it. That's not how tariffs work. And so and that was also during a time where Jerome Powell was like, hey, we're cutting rates and we're expecting to cut rates further. If we go 6 months back, Jerome Powell was like, hey, things are looking pretty good. Cutting rates, soft landing, guys. Hey, that fabled mythical land of soft landing. And, so through all of that, Trump kept his, hey, we're still going to do tariffs, even in the scenario of him getting what he wanted from Jerome Powell. So tariffs was going to happen no matter what. So if the conversation is, Trump is forcing Jerome Powell's hand, I would need to see, like Evan, like you mentioned, like him putting troops on the Canadian border to force more uncertainty in the market and cause it to go down, to collapse it more. It'd have to be something else on top of trade war, because he's talked about the trade war so many times, even in settings and periods of the Fed doing the thing that he wanted. That to me is why I am in the stance that I am in.
We've got a couple of really good comments here. Edmund said 100% he's manipulating the market to cause short-term pain and get an interest rate reduction. Brad says Trump wants a recession so inflation comes down and then can cut interest rates. Roy says looking at Trump equals FUD. Lower rates and QE is the only answer. So lots of different opinions about this here, and we definitely want to know what you've got to say. And really quickly, if you've got a comment that's too long for TikTok or for YouTube, then I want to invite you to join the Rise Up Discord server. The link is on the screen, discord.gg/riseup. It's totally free. It's the best way to make sure that if you have a question, if you have a comment and you want us to see it, not only can you get feedback from us, but you can get feedback from a growing global community of learners at all levels of experience. It's a great place to be. Lots of free resources. The only thing missing is you. It's where the show lives 24/7. I think another topic of interest that I've seen once or twice, though kind of a nothing burger, is the summit. And I would like to get your opinions because we haven't talked about it yet on the
that's
show.
right. I didn't see any news come out of that.
I didn't. I mean, no news really came out of it, honestly. But it's worth talking about. I'd like to get everyone's opinions on it. as a segue there out of macro, somebody asked a question at the very beginning of the stream about El Salvador. And we're talking about like what's happened in the macro world, what's actually changing for crypto. And as these people are meeting in the White House to talk to Donald Trump, El Salvador is walking back its policy on Bitcoin. I don't know if you guys saw this, but
No, I didn't.
El Salvador is negotiating a $1.4 billion, I think it's a loan or a stimulus type package with the IMF. And one of the IMF's conditions is we need you to walk back some of your Bitcoin policy. And it's not that they're necessarily giving up Bitcoin as a country. Lots of people there still use it. The culture of Bitcoin is very active there, but policy sets a precedent, and they have walked back the law that you can pay your taxes with it. So I don't know if it's entirely like unlegal tendered or what, but
Well, just
go
to
ahead.
be
Do you
clear,
have
though,
a tip on it?
yes, yeah. As of this morning, just a couple hours ago, El Salvador basically was like, "Hey, IMF, we heard you, but we're also going to buy more Bitcoin." And they did
Great.
that.
I thought they bought like 5 Bitcoin today. They
13.
continue to buy Bitcoin
13.
every single
I
day.
believe it was 13.
13?
Yeah. Oh,
Bullish.
sorry, 13 since the 1st of March. So yes, perhaps the most recent was just 5.
Honestly, there's a part of me that's like, hey, El Salvador. I was like just thinking that with the IMF deal, they then sold all their Bitcoin. I'd be like, honestly, El Salvador's been buying Bitcoin for a while. That was a great trade, and then they leveraged it to get a really big loan from the IMF.
Honestly, right?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, that was a really good trade.
Playing the next level. But I say that to say, globally, this is an example of how policy and sentiment are shifting. But we've got in the White House, somebody asked, can we talk about Ripple? We had a meeting in the White House last Friday of David Sachs, the crypto czar, a number of CEOs and influential figures from across the industry, but it seemed like mostly centralized crypto companies and corporate perspectives represented. People who gave money to the Trump campaign, including Jesse Powell, CEO of Kraken, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, Sergey, whose name I forget, or maybe it's Evgen. I always forget his name, the Chainlink fellow. The Winklevi twins were there, and my guy Chris Dixon was there. But it seemed like I heard somebody say mostly a room full of people who were interested in getting rich off of crypto, and not so many people who were like interested in investing in crypto to build the future. There weren't any founders of like protocols there. There was no Hayden of Uniswap. It was like the very centralized business crypto thing. And it certainly seemed like a lot of signaling. If you didn't watch it, it was mostly the part that was broadcast, people going around and thanking Donald Trump for his leadership and being more friendly and opening the conversation on crypto. We didn't get to see the conversations. Right. It was, that's it, was the reaction of crypto Twitter. But they had some conversations, presumably about things like what should be included in a crypto reserve. And so I wanted to get your takes on yours too, everybody. What did you think about the people in the room? Was the summit a nothing burger? And specifically, I'd love to segue this conversation to Trump has said he wants to establish a Federal Reserve of Bitcoin and also a strategic stockpile. He's used the words interchangeably, implying that they may or may not buy assets like XRP, Cardano, and Sol, which when we touched on last week, I think, Alex, you said people might be excited that it's pumping their bags, but I think it's a terrible idea. We were in agreement about that.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's a
You want to
Maybe not
elaborate?
awful.
Why
like
is it that
It's a good idea.
we don't like it? And let me just introduce it with a
Not ideal.
and maybe if it gets strong enough, I'll throw in a boo. But why don't you guys like it?
For the simple fact that the government's place, especially if you are in favor of smaller government, and less government overreach and less government involvement in day-to-day lives of, businesses and individuals, small businesses, big businesses, whatever, you should be opposed to this. And the only reason that you aren't is because you have bag bias and you think that it's going to make the price of your investments go up, which is fine. I totally understand. Like I keep saying, that's the nature of investing. We all have a desire to watch the things that we've invested in appreciate in value. However, if the government decides that it is going to, probably based on which billionaires are donating, pick favorites, I can't think of anything that the government could do like in one fell swoop that would masquerade as bullish while being terrible for the industry. You're going to have you're going to have the same thing happen that we already struggle with, which is corporate interest and giant companies choking out small businesses. And the side effect is going to be that all of these small projects just get strangled as corporate interest takes over, and you have to be able to afford to lobby in Washington in order to get your currency into the stockpile or whatever. It's going to mean absolutely nothing with regards to fundamentals. It's going to mean nothing with regards to who's doing what, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it. It's going to have everything to do with who can afford to sit at the big kids table. And that's terrible for the broader market. It's going to be completely, it's going to be a negative incentive to anyone who wants to launch a project that can't afford to get into the stockpile. And we're already seeing that, at first we thought that World Liberty buying stuff was going to be like a pretty good indication of who they thought was going to crush, and maybe slightly slanted, but then it turns out like, oh, you can just buy your way into the Liberty financial wallet. That also means nothing except for who's got the biggest treasury. So I think what you're going to see is just more companies with fat war chests who can afford to be there continue to be overrepresented and propped up, because that's just the nature of corruption, and it's a giant bummer.
It almost seems like they looked at like the top 10 or 20 and they took out the stable coins and like staked ETH and, Tron and BNB, and they were like, okay, this is it.
Well,
and go ahead.
But remember that Tron is in the World Liberty financial wallet because they paid to be there.
Oh, sure. I mean,
they're there in a big way.
So, but the for people who are asking like why, statistically too, like absolutely quantitatively, think about this. Ethereum has almost 700,000 daily active addresses. XRP, it's got about 300,000. So you're thinking, okay, great. Cardano has about 30,000 daily active addresses. Cardano and XRP both have about a tenth of the active development core that Ethereum does. And then in terms of TVL, it's reported that Cardano's TVL is like 500 million, but I have seen numbers that are much, much lower than this on DeFi Llama, et cetera, even in like the double digit millions. And same thing for XRP, even though its TVL isn't specifically reported. As people who work here, I don't know anybody who is actively building on the XRP ledger. And that's not to, trash it or punk it, but go ahead.
Just to be abundantly clear, there are barely any people building really much at scale anywhere.
Yeah, totally.
I
would say though there's a lot of interest or growing activity on many chains, and certainly much more than that in other places.
There's interest, which is the first step. But right now, people are like if you want to talk about builders, they're over inundated with choice, and the incentives all match, and none of the places trying to incentivize the builders to come really have much in the way of being super unique, and they also don't have a user base. So there's really not a ton of incentive for people to go places and do things. And, we can lambast.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we can lambast Solana all we want for being the home of a lot of scams and rug pulls. But I will say again, as I have been saying, that the reason criminals are attracted to an ecosystem like Solana is because there's money and people there. And no one's going to go build an extractive scam on a chain with no liquidity and no users to fall for it. They're just not going to do it. Why would you do that? That would be a terrible waste of your scamming resources.
No, I agree. And Will, I kind of rugged you on this one because I wanted to give those numbers just so people could have some context. But why do you think that it's not? Do you think it's just these assets, or do you think generally speaking it's not a good idea for anything but Bitcoin to be in a strategic reserve? Do you think it's a good idea? I don't know that we've talked about. Do you think it's a good idea for them to own Bitcoin in a reserve or to buy it?
I think it's a good idea to have Bitcoin in a strategic reserve because I think the Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, it's not really a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's a crypto reserve, but the qualifications to be in it, I think, is actually a pretty good one, which is over the past 12 months, the asset needs to have had a market cap of over $500 million. So Texas could technically invest in any cryptocurrency. It's just that the only crypto that's met that qualification is Bitcoin.
Yeah. Smart.
But one day they could buy more.
Sorry, 500 million?
sorry, 500 billion. 500
Oh,
billion.
I'm gonna say,
500
dude, that's like the top
billion,
500
billion,
right there.
billion. Yeah, sorry about that.
Let's launch a
Billion.
token, boys.
Yeah. Let's get Texas to buy it.
The Texas,
Texas
Reserve.
coin.
Yeah. That'd be great. And so when you kind of set that criteria up, you go, okay, cool. Like, so nothing else is really big enough to, warrant, I don't know, taxpayer money going into it. And then also you look at the nature of it, and, strategic Bitcoin reserves should be something that has the qualifications of a store of value, or is being used a lot. Like, oil is used a lot. Gold is a store of value. These are things that we have strategic reserves of. And so you look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a hard supply. It's kind of, it's basically deflationary because people lose it, makes it a hard store of value. And it's being genuinely adopted over the past 14 years as a store of value. And then you look at Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, and XRP. And guys, I really like Ethereum and I really like Solana. Yeah. And I'm looking at, in this bear market, I'm looking at buying a lot of both of them. So I like, half of the coins in this list as something for me to invest in myself.
I would think about swing trading Cardano and XRP even if they continue to dip.
Yeah, sure.
Because they'll probably go back up.
Yeah, they're on my list to potentially do the exact same thing with. But you look at them, and if you look at Cardano and XRP specifically of that list, you can't say that they have gotten adoption amongst their targeted audience yet. And if you add Ethereum and Solana to that list, they both have inflationary supplies. They are getting adoption amongst their targeted audience, but if you measure the adoption of Ethereum and Solana, the two biggest platform cryptocurrencies in the space, and you measure it up against oil's adoption amongst its targeted audience is
global adoption
1 million times the size, right? It's one of the reasons why we have it as strategic reserves, also for national security reasons. So I don't think any of these other altcoins meet the qualifications of something that is potentially worthy of taxpayer dollars going into. And I want to be clear that the strategic Bitcoin reserve right now and the digital asset reserve does not have any plans for taxpayer money to go into right now. It's just confiscated cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin will not be sold.
Implies that they would accumulate it.
Yes, but as of right now, the digital asset stockpile reserve, whatever the hell it's called,
but that's relevant.
It's made via executive order, and it's only for confiscated of those cryptocurrencies.
But it's relevant because the way the administration has talked about it, they have been loose with the language. Like, did you see the tweets that came out?
The future, there's probably going to be money going into it, whether it's taxpayer money or they liquidate some of the gold position that the United States has, which is the other thing that is being circulated around as a potential option for them to do, because it is going to be a bit of a political stink to take taxpayer money and put it into speculative assets.
As it should be.
As it should be. So trying to find different ways to do that so it's not as ammo providing to your political opposition will definitely be a route that's taken.
Very well said. Let us know what you think in the comments. I appreciate everybody who's added to the discussion. Why would you use anything but a stablecoin for cross-border or any payments? That's a great question.
Agreed. I would never use anything else other than it. Yeah. Unless, of course, someone was like, hey, can you send this to me in Bitcoin? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Okay.
And if you've got a question, we would love to hear it. We would absolutely love to hear it. And the best place for questions when the show is not live is discord.gg/riseup. I also very quickly do want to say, since I've got the screen share at the ready, if you want to check out some of the other resources that we have got, boy, have we got a lot of resources for you, then head on over to the riseupmorningshow.com. The website, super simple and easy to navigate. We've got little links to things like courses and coaching. You can get a premium membership to get all the things that we offer that you have to pay for much cheaper, whether that's a one-on-one coaching session, you want to ask one of us a question, you want to learn some TA from Will, you want Alex to talk you down from a cliff, or just berate you and tell you he's a little disappointed so that you'll get motivated about making changes. You can do that cheaper with a membership.
It sounds like
I don't
financial.
Want it to sound like that's all it
that
is.
Sounds like financial.
No, but
that sounds like financial.
FinDom.
FinDom. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it absolutely could be.
Hey, listen.
Tell me
We've
I've
also
been bad
got
with my
the
money.
official mug of the official
Tell me
morning
I
show
suck
of
at
the
taking
Financial
profits.
Revolution, and so much more. We have, how to survive the bear market guide, the link to the free Discord server, the link to all of our socials are in this site. The only thing missing, just like the Discord, my friends, is you. So check it out. We built it for you. And if you have suggestions about the kinds of resources we can be building that would be more valuable for you, let us know, because we want to do that. Now, we do have a big week coming up for a lot of different reasons. I woke up this morning and realized that today is the first day of Crypto the Game. If you haven't seen it, check out our interview with Dylan Abrascato from last week. It was fantastic. He tells a lot of great stories, and Crypto the Game is a cool example of the kind of experience that you can invest in, not necessarily expecting a monetary return, though there is currently a pot of 65 ETH, and registration is open until noon Central. I think Central. Fact check yourself on that today if you want to play. And then we've also got Charlie Blackstock coming on After Dark Wednesday this week. I can't believe I'm going to miss that.
It's just stupid.
I'm really not looking forward to it at all. Charlie is one of the co-founders of Farcade. Farcade AI is like, imagine TikTok, except instead of consuming and creating videos, it's video games. Like the same way you could create a TikTok video in a couple of minutes, you can create a game with prompting, and then you can scroll the feed and find the games that other people have upvoted, if you will. He's created Far World. He's a member of Wolves DAO. And I just learned, Alex, I told you last night, I can't believe I didn't know this, that Sam Stefanini, your friend, Wolves DAO member, is their chief marketing officer now. I don't know anything about Farcade, but I'm already like super bullish.
Yeah, no, you should be. I don't know very many people in the space who I would support as heavily as I do Sam. Sam is awesome. That's a solid acquisition on the part of Farcade to get Sam on the team. Especially given just his level of involvement and everything else that he's working on and everything else that he's doing. And I mean, Wolves DAO is a solid group. That's a group worth like following and paying attention to. There's very good information that comes out of them.
That's right. And if you want to check it out on Twitter, Alex, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I had dark mode on and now it's switched to light mode. So shield your eyes. Farcade_AI.
Awful.
That's the handle you need to follow. Farcade_AI, and then 0x Chuck Stock is Charlie Blackstock. If you want to do a little playing along at homework in advance, you can find him there. Very exciting. Looking forward to that. And then, of course, you can leave your questions in the Discord. We would love to see what you want to tell Charlie. Will, I got to say thanks, man, for the screen share.
Oh,
did I rug you?
Rug.
Ha!
No, you didn't rug me. I rugged myself.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Listen, I feel so much power, Alex. I understand completely why you love to rug me on the screen share. So we got a really good question here from a longtime listener, Rita Sapkoda, that it's becoming a bit boring in the market. And
yes.
I knew you'd have a
which
thought
means
about it.
which means you must be in stablecoins, because if you're not, it's pretty exciting still, just in the opposite direction.
Alex, why are you excited, or why do you think that's a good thing?
Tell me why.
Well, because the boring times are when the money is made. And I will say the fat disclaimer there is that that's the way that it was in the good old days. And now we really, really, really have to see what happens. Like, I think people think that because we had a government that like wasn't crypto friendly before, that we were being heavily suppressed and overly, just crushed into the ground, without really stopping to consider what would happen if a government became really interested, but perhaps not in a great way, or in the wrong way. And, I would say that neither one of those is ideal. Ideally, what you'd have, right, is a government that acknowledges that you have a right to exist and innovate and try to do things, and as long as you're not,
And then
like,
says, "Go innovate,
flagrantly
guys, have fun,"
committing
and
crime,
just lets you go off and play.
Get the hell out of my way. That's what I want.
My dad can beat up your dad.
I don't need some clueless bureaucrat telling me how to build a business that they don't even know how to spell. So
Damn.
I mean, dude, you saw the Rachel Maddow piece, right? Like, when,
Yeah, I totally
Oh God.
Can I just
did.
say,
Did you share that in Discord?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It was all over Twitter.
Here's a problem that I have with people like her and media like that, because before I launch into this tiny tirade, I will fully lay responsibility for the things that she says at the feet of Rachel Maddow, but I don't want anyone to believe even for a second that she's the only person who was responsible for that broadcast, because so many people would have had to clear that and then air it and then continue to there was a lot of people involved. And the fact that she opened that by saying, I don't really understand any of this stuff and I don't care to, but here's my opinion. I'm not paraphrasing. I'm not being hyperbolic. Literally said, I don't get it and I don't care about it. Here's a bunch of bullshit. The standard for what passes as a report is in hell. It's so low.
It's so low
that you could literally just broadcast yourself taking a shit and it would be just as journalistically integral as that report. Like, that's how little I think of that. That's how little respect I have for that broadcast.
A little graphic when I'm drinking my coffee, man.
You're welcome. It was unbearably bad. And this is the side effect of thrusting something into the mainstream without a single thought to perhaps we should make sure that we have somebody capable of rational, objective speaking talking about this. Instead, all we have are corporate billionaires, political bureaucrats, and absolute moron bottom-feeding grifters on Twitter who get the biggest platforms. So ask yourself if you're confused why mainstream media is just dragging crypto the way that it is, exclusively highlighting the crime and reporting on it the way that Rachel Maddow just did, which even if she was right, she and anyone else who airs a broadcast like that on a major network like that should be embarrassed at how atrocious that report was. To open a broadcast by admitting you don't understand the thing you're about to talk about and then following it up by doubling down and saying you actually don't care to understand it, but you're still going to pontificate. That's the definition of bloviating, and we have enough of that. It was embarrassing.
At the
entire
end of the
network
day,
should be embarrassed.
It's just the billionaires that own the network that say, make them say this. And that's just what happens across all of the news medias from left to right.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons, honestly, I cringe sometimes at the, independent news, but I'm really grateful for the way that apps like TikTok have made it possible for the best stuff to float to the top. I'm really bullish on independent researchers or independent news.
Just give me more News Girl. give
and
me
more Rise
News
Up
Girl.
Media, baby. Come on.
No, but for real, I mean, what I really truly want to see, and I believe is the next meta. If we just derail for a second and
real quick, this comment says, meanwhile, Rachel probably owns BTC.
Yeah,
probably.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, maybe not that, but she owns something. She bought something.
Yeah.
I think that I'm probably not alone when I say that I'm really ready for slanted, paid for mainstream media to go the way of the dodo. And I'm ready for the emergence.
You're going to say something else.
What did you think I was going to say?
Oh,
I thought
man,
you're like,
you-
I'm really ready for slanted, sponsored, crypto pumpamental videos, baby. Who wants to sponsor the Rise Up Morning Show? Give me all
I
your
am
meme
for sale.
coins.
No, I'm ready for independent media that has to claw and chew its way to the top by just being, objective and having their feet held to the fire. And I don't care, what side of the aisle. What I'm noticing too is that there's a lot of it that's branded, which is interesting because you could say that there is a lot of really left slanted media and a lot of really right slanted media, but they kind of own it. So there's no confusion when you're watching. You know,
Yeah.
which party paid for CNN, which party paid for Fox? Like, you know, of course now that's obvious, but back in the day it was like, wait, I can't quite tell. You know, because there was, I don't know, objective reporting, you know, the way that NPR used to be.
Sure.
But we've seen terrible reporting about crypto coming out of them too, and it's a shame. So I'm ready for independent media, dude. Like
Yeah.
you said, I think that as long as we continue to ramp up people's media literacy and being able to, you know how to fact check things and know how to do some objective digging, and you know, if you hear something from anybody on social media, including all three of us, you should question it, you know, whether or not it, you know, admit that it could be wrong. We all need to admit that we could say something incorrect and be constantly like holding yourself to a higher standard of making sure you research things before you say it, making sure you give a shit about what you talk about, and then making sure that you constantly equip people with the tools to fact check you. Because if you say something wrong, you know, you should do that. And I think it's so funny that every time Will posts a video where he like admits that he made a mistake about something and then issues a correction, people roast him. And it's like, what would you prefer he do? Would you prefer he just delete the video that like had the error in it and then pretend he never made it and then gaslight you?
Those aren't even my favorite. My favorites are, hey guys, yeah, so I'm selling a little bit here, and I'm doing this and that with my position. I'm doing it for XYZ reason. You know, you can do whatever you want, but this is what I'm doing. And then just like,
everyone in the comment is like,
and I'm just going through the comments like, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. You're so
Come for
angry.
him.
Yeah, it's just, you know,
Jeez.
so, you know, down with the mainstream bullshit. You know, like I was bearish already, but after that report, dude, I swear I like my bearishness just increased, and I'm so ready for the wave of independent media to just drown that shit. I mean, I'm sure, I have no doubt, I don't have the data off the top of my head, but I'd be very curious to see, because I'm sure it's a lot more egregious than we think it is, the number of people who view like independent socially broadcast media versus people who like sit down and watch the 9 o'clock broadcast on MSNBC or CNN or Fox or something like that. That's not just like a TV we're forced to watch because it's playing in a retirement home or something.
I will absolutely die on this hill.
I will.
Beautifully said. Cosmic, our friend, said, I really love, my favorite are the Cosmic crypto videos about William. And I've got to say, Cosmic, I agree. I need more of that.
They're wonderful.
I need more of that on my timeline. Sorry.
So really quick, there was 2 questions. One just came in from It's Me 23, and then another one from earlier that we kind of got derailed on, but I just wanted to answer because it's another one to like answer kind of generally. So the most recent question here from It's Me says, any good crypto media that you trust? I would not necessarily sit here and like pick a bunch of favorites. I would truly say anybody who is capable of admitting that they don't know everything, they are constantly needing to learn new stuff and holding themselves to some sort of standard of integrity. If you've seen somebody who like is currently talking about crypto and has issued some sort of a prediction and is now trying to find a way to justify that and like walk it back or just cover it up with other predictions, or you know, like waste your time by just kind of peddling a bunch of nonsense or just saying things like, well, if you had really been paying attention to me, you would have known, and if you would have seen this, and I'm trying to put you guys on, and all I'm doing is serving you, and like all this kind of crap. Like those are who you tune out. So yeah,
I want to name names there, man. That was pretty pointed.
Was it pretty pointed? Yeah, I don't like to name names because it doesn't mean anything.
Die on this hill.
If I name the name, then I come across as hating. But if I just describe the shitty behavior and let people
what does it
fill
rhyme
in,
with?
then we all know what we're talking about.
Okay, good. Well taken.
That's it. Just follow people who can hold themselves accountable.
What was the other question? Really quickly, I want to tell you, our friend Doug is going to come up in a minute, but I didn't want to like bring him up in the middle of a conversation, then have everyone go, hey. Go ahead.
I just want to add on to that too. Like,
Please.
If you have people on here making content for a long time, we've all been making content since 2020. A lot of people have been making content since 2017. You know, people have been around for a while. Like for us, like there's gonna eventually be stuff that we do that's wrong, or stuff that we do that you're not gonna like, right? All that kind of stuff. And you know, there are a lot of people who say, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, yada 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 yada. But just because like there's somebody maybe who you don't like, or we don't like, doesn't mean that somebody's not still getting value from that person, right? So
100%.
it's all personal preference and where do you need help, and certain people have skills in certain areas that you may want to leverage more than others, right? Yeah, I mean, it's up to the person. There are people that I don't like that some people are like, oh, I still like them, and I go, okay, cool, that's fine.
I want to be clear that I like everybody. I just don't think everybody's approach is helpful. And I think it's important for us to be able to say that.
Yeah, I don't know
I
who
barely like
anybody is
anybody.
because I don't
I know.
listen to anybody, and I just have to have you guys tell me, Will, no. Will,
I will say,
no,
though-
not that guy. What? Not that guy. Yeah, they
Yeah, that's
stole
right.
like
We
all
do
this
hit
money
those
from that
stocks.
person. Oh, they did? Yeah, it was very public news. I look at charts.
I will
I can tell you how the oil economy is in Moldova.
I like oil. Three quick sources for people who want to know, maybe trustworthy. I would recommend everybody listen to the Unchained podcast. Big fan of what Laura Shin and Hasib and everybody over there are doing. It's streamable on all platforms, and they have written news. They just hired a new editor. He's fantastic. Web 2 to Web 3 guy, Bitcoin OG. Unchained. You can find them at unchainedcrypto.com. Also, our friend of the show, Lindsay Poss, is a host at the Seeking Alpha podcast. It's her, and I am blanking on her friend's name, and she works in crypto, and her friend does not. And it's a well-produced, great conversations back and forth, talking about kind of like we do the current events, state of the industry, and often gives a lot of really good Q&A, good explainers, very helpful. And the third one I would say is there's a podcast called Steady Lads, which does tend to be a little more bro-y, but not in like a toxic way.
What a name.
Right. It's
Steady lads.
but it's Taiki Maeda is one of the creators of that, and he's
Okay.
the humble farmer who, for my
Taiki
money, was
Waititi.
exactly. God bless you. And at one point, he was one of the, I think, very best, and maybe still is on the internet, teaching step by step how to pursue different yields. He used to have a series called like This Week in Farming or something like that, Farm of the Week, and he would just show you like his pick for, go to this DeFi site, bridge to this chain, click this button, and you're earning 57% on like a stable coin or something like that. It was crazy. So Steady Lads, Seeking Alpha podcast, and Unchained Crypto. And Alex, go ahead.
I will say too, there's several shows on Twitter that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So the Wolves DAO is very heavily focused on gaming. I will shill them every single day of the
Yep.
week, but there are 3 shows out of that. So Icy and Peyton host one called Ready Up, which is gaming focused, and just sort of talk about news and events and happenings and goings on the Web3 gaming side of the industry. And then Sam Stefanina through the Wolves DAO hosts 2, Gamified and Simplified. Simplified is crypto industry wide, and Gamified is gaming focused, but both of those are fantastic. All 3 of those
Excellent.
are fantastic.
Alex, did you say you had another question you wanted to answer?
Yes.
Then let's hit it quick, and then I'm going to bring our guy Doug up.
Yes. So the question was, why do you like Solana so much? And my text answer was, it's not about liking or disliking. It's just about observation. But I want to just kind of answer generally because I am chain agnostic. And right now it definitely seems like, we're Solana heavy, but it's for a specific reason. So I'm actually going to share my screen and show you something
Are you?
really quick. Yes.
Go ahead, man. Flex it.
So let's start here at the top. Okay. So the only thing that I am looking at in the broad industry is who's managing to move forward. I think we're past the time of like making flashy Twitter posts and getting a bunch of people hyped up and like ready for your roadmap and then anxious to wait for it and speculate. And we now need to continue to move. We have to keep growing or the industry just is going to sit in this awkward little phase forever. And it's
Time for the builders to build.
Yeah. So when we talk about, different ways that you can track that, DeFi Llama is my favorite place to track stuff. This show is not sponsored by DeFi Llama, but it doesn't matter because they're not funded.
Doing
I'll
God's
shill them
work.
I'll show them for free anyway. And actually, you can donate to them if you want to because they don't charge for anything. So have at it if you find their information valuable. But this was interesting. So the other day I was talking to my dad and he made a comment about, we were talking about movement specifically, and he was in their Discord digging through the developer resources, and he just made a comment like, dude, this place is dead. There's no one here chattering. And he is also in the Solana builders Discords, a couple of them. and a few other various places around the internet where these people coalesce. And he also has been in and out of the Ethereum ones for a while, and there's just a lot of chatter over there. So that was his comment, and my answer to that was like, yeah, well, there's basically no one building anywhere else. There's a few people. There's like some projects that are going to launch, and there's some people who are getting grants, and this came up during Will and I's conversation with Aptos the other day, which was just like, right now.
Spoiler alert, they rock too.
Yeah, they're great, but the thing that they're doing is the same thing that everyone's doing, and it's my first piece of feedback every time I get the chance to talk to any of these people. It's like, you guys are putting so much money into developer and builders grants without doing anything to establish or define the culture of your ecosystem, or give anyone a reason to like hang out and vibe and chill with you guys. So it's great. You can pay builders to build stuff, but ask anybody who works in grant departments, and I know lots of people who work in funding. I have a good friend of mine is in charge of the entire grants ecosystem on the Stellar network. I have a friend who is in charge of grants and ecosystem funding for Polygon. I have friends who work in grant and ecosystem funding for Dfinity, for Cardano, for Ethereum, for Solana. Like, I know people, and they will all tell you the same thing, that there's lots of times when people get the kickoff grant and then they can't get the project all the way done, and they end up leaving with a half-built, half-funded project that never ends up going anywhere, even though ecosystems spend money on it. So how can you track this sort of stuff? If you look at let's start at the top. So here's Ethereum, right? Right here, we have all these little metrics. Here is total revenue earned by the apps built on this network in the last 24 hours. Okay. Ethereum, 1.58 million, which is down about 1 million per day from a couple days ago. But still significant. And disclaimer, this does not include absolutely everything. There are some apps that don't report. Not everything can be queryable the same way. You'll notice if you look on DeFi Llama and you look up like the TVL for Stellar or for Ripple, or for Hedera, that you don't get like a number that really makes a ton of sense. And it's just because they don't report it, and not all of it is open source, and you can't query all of it. It's not all reported the same way, and it's held in different ways, and they don't all give all their information to DeFi Llama. And actually, fun fact, I did get that confirmation from the director of DeFi on Stellar that they just don't report all of the way. Working on getting her on the show.
Okay.
She's really interesting. Anyway, let's look at the next one. Solana. App revenue in the last 24 hours, 2.4 million. So
basically double.
Almost $1 million more than Ethereum. And actually, 3 days ago, this number was 6.5 million.
Wow.
And ETH was 3.5 million.
The bear is bearing.
And Nick's question is a good one. How can this be verified if it isn't queried? You have to ask the sources directly. You have to like try to suss this stuff out. The fact that it's not all queryable makes me a little bit hesitant. I just like, okay, why? If this is all supposed to be open source stuff, then I wish that more of the information was readily available.
Yeah.
What's here on this is accurate. These are from queryable sources. It just could be a bit more. But if you keep going, even just to the next one, and Bitcoin's not really a fair comparison, but I'll show it just because there's not really a lot of apps.
Go to
built on
Base or
Bitcoin.
Barachain. I'm curious to see what Base has.
So here's the entire BSC, 200 grand.
Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be.
Tron, 4,800.
Yeah. Gwump.
Barachain, 26,000.
Interesting.
Base, 580,000. Arbitrum, 100,000.
Wow.
So and it just gets worse. It just gets worse as you go until you get down to things that are literally doing $1,000 a day, if they even have any reported revenue. So I say this just to say that the reason I like Solana is because from an interest and adoption perspective, there are users there who are buying and spending money and paying for services that they do not expect to get a return on. And if the only thing making up an ecosystem of people excited for its future potential are speculators on the main native token's future price, I am not excited by that anymore. And
I
so
will absolutely die on this hill.
I will happily admit and change my mind and acknowledge when people make a lot of revenue. Like Base has more revenue than all of these other ones, and they don't even have a token. It's just because there are people over there who are like having a good time because Base has established culture. It may not be as widely popular as Solana's culture or as far reaching as broad like mainnet Ethereum culture, but they're doing that. Outside of that, I genuinely don't see anybody making a serious effort to just establish culture. And if you want like a demonstration of like what that looks like, dude, thank you, Brave, for giving me a warning right before I accidentally closed the wrong tab and just canceled my entire
Nice.
StreamYard.
Oh man, rugged. Yeah.
But the last thing I'll say before I get off the soapbox here is I had someone from another ecosystem ask me like, what do I think it looks like to establish culture? And I'm like, you know how on Solana, Mert and Toli are just like in the trenches, just talking about things.
And if you don't know, these are two. It's a co-founder and one of the primary developers at Helios building Solana.
Yeah, Mert is the CEO of Helios, which is like I'm not going to do him or Helios the disservice of my non-technical ass trying to describe exactly what Helios does, but he is a core developer and contributor to the Solana ecosystem. And then Anatoly is one of the co-founders. Regardless of whether or not it's like fun or they're fighting or bickering or shit talking or celebrating and supporting, they're being regular human beings on social media with the people in their ecosystem. And that makes everyone in the ecosystem feel like there's support, interest, involvement, engagement, and someone worth talking to. And people rally behind that and they laugh, they cry, through good or bad, they're out there every day. As opposed to heads of ecosystems who just post commercials for new things getting built and generally bull post the ecosystem, but there's nothing like authentically human about the way that they converse with people. Look at Jesse. Jesse may be doing some stuff that's a little bit cringe with some of the videos he's making, but he's out there every day being Jesse and talking to people. And when he celebrates a project building on Base or something that's happening over there, he seems genuinely stoked about it. And that starts to establish culture. Show me anyone else who does that. And there are plenty of public figures who could,
Speaking of commercials, the best comment and culture from the commercials and culture intersection at Rise Up Media, Nick, our friend of the show, Johnson, said, we need a pith commercial from Mike Tyson. Pith Network, can we please get on that? And also, by way of transition, because I'm going to bring our friend Doug up, Keeping It Real let us know that they recently got second in a hackathon on the STX network. So way to go. Congratulations. And Doug, our friend, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Hey, dude. Oh, wait. We don't have audio. We don't have audio.
Well, hang on. I don't know what's up with that.
Nope. Can't hear you.
Well, our audio is definitely working one way, and nothing's different about my setup here. Try it one more time. Let's see what he's got. Dougie Fresh. I hear him. You hear him? I don't hear him.
Okay, so we're just not getting it. They got it. Okay.
They got
Try again,
audio.
Doug. Try again, Doug.
Oh, does this work?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
Give us
there
your
we
video
go.
too, so we
Okay,
can
hold
see your
on.
beautiful
I don't know
face.
how to do it. Oh. Yeah, I took a shower this morning, so we're good. First
And
and
he's
foremost,
still in
good
the
morning.
bathroom. He's still in the bathroom.
No, I'm not. No, we're in the living room now. We're in the living room.
Wow,
No,
you have a,
no,
wow, I
I'm
can't believe
not.
you have a TV in your shower.
That's incredible.
Wow, amazing.
I did have a TV in my shower in college at one point, I think. I'm pretty sure. Just because ridiculous.
Just college things.
Alex,
Yes.
preach. By the way, everything you said, spot on. I wanted one thing too, before I ask the question I wanted to ask, is that it's almost like I realize I'm also actively constantly looking for integrity or like any sense of it that is left in the space. And I was
You're like,
like,
just in
Web-
general, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
develop any sense of integrity.
Yeah, it's like, should Web3 even exist? Or like, can Web3 still exist? And I was talking to my friend I met last bull run, which the culture part of it is so huge too. And like NFTs, as much as people can shit on them, like there was a lot of like I love looking at art. I love that we got rugged. Hey, at least we got rugged together. And yeah, we have a bunch of worthless JPEGs, but at least then there's something associated with just not just the token. So I'm really excited for the next phase of where this all goes, where, you know, the good of what that last bull run was This one, I don't know. Some things you could take from this one. I don't know what that is, but carry them to like it's like the waves, and so I'm excited for that because I think the integrity and the objectivity of anything is what this space needs more than ever right now. I'm almost like wondering, like, can you assign an integrity score to a project or someone based on their not the different? That's a different conversation, different day. So
We can just have the public vote on it.
Yeah. Maybe just by my sentiment. Like I would say, I'd be okay if you were to say, take all of my sentiment, socials, and like give me an integrity score. Go for it. Like I wouldn't care. I'd just do that, depending on who's using the data. But okay, question I have for you guys.
Okay.
I actively am in the Solana ecosystem for same reasons as Alex and others too. Primarily, it's easy for me because it's multiple devices. I have all the apps I need, blah, blah. And so as I'm starting to consider purchasing Bitcoin slowly now over time, I'm doing it right now just because of, hey, I'm going to trade on Jupiter, leverage, and I cash out, I put into a wrap BTC. Is there a point where I would to be concerned, not concerned, let's say I collect BTC on Sol just because I'm just actively there and I want to transfer it or convert it to the actual native Coconut BTC. Do I have any concerns of there not being a associated element of that outside of the network? Like, are the wrap BTCs that are in Solana only there, or can I move that off and be confident that I can unwrap it somewhere else? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You're asking with any wrapped asset, but specifically in this case, wrapped BTC on the Solana network, how can you be confident that you'll be able to unwrap it and get the same benefits, the same liquidity, the same? It really depends on where you're going with it. But the short answer is it's almost certainly going to have the deepest liquidity on its native network. And if you're unwrapping something, the real limitation is going to be how much liquidity does the bridge have and how much can you send at a time? For example, I knew somebody who was using a bridge recently to send about $100,000. They were sending from the Sol network to the base network. And the bridge that they were using was a big bridge. I'm pretty sure it was All Bridge. It might have been Wormholes Bridge.
Normal, yeah.
And they could do about $10,000 at a time. They would just they tried to do the whole thing. They got a transaction failed. Then they tried to do $50,000, transaction failed. And the reason they do this is not just the liquidity that they have, but my understanding, and we can fact check this, is that this is an anti-fraud measure too. Like, just to prevent slippage and other things like that also.
Perfect. So I should have no concerns of accumulating Bitcoin in a wrapped Bitcoin stance on Solana till the day I say, hey, I want to at least move it off of Solana, if that may be next year, 2 or 3 years down the road.
Nope.
Correct. That's what
I would be more concerned about the liquidity on Solana and your position relative to other people's positions. Like if there's not enough liquidity for wrapped Bitcoin on Solana,
my 7 figures that I have.
Yeah, exactly. If you're the whale and you want to withdraw and you're going to crash the whole pool kind of thing.
That's it. So cool. That's it, guys. That's appreciate what you do, and I'm excited to get through whatever this next. I'm looking forward to that next months down the road.
I'm looking forward to unemployment being super high. Jobs market shrinking, China's market collapsing, all that stuff, so we can finally get interest rates cut.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Really quick,
I know you guys will be here every day. I'll show up every day, and we'll be there.
And for people who are new, Doug, where can they find you and follow you, pal?
Just follow me on TikTok. My TikTok profile is my Twitter account, and that basically gives you the path to everything. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be much more structured in the streams that I do, and also to the ways to connect the things that I do together.
Okay.
To make that path easier. So yeah,
and for the people who are watching everywhere else, that is Trend Drift 99. It depends on how you pronounce it. But if you get connected with us, we'll get you connected with Doug. And we just appreciate you so much, man. Thanks for coming on the show, brother.
You guys have a great Monday. Have a great week. And we'll talk soon.
You too. Real quick, we have a follow-up question. And then there's one more question I want to address before we get our dogs and ponies on the sunset, which was somebody asked, can you talk about the most common scams in crypto and how to identify them? But first, the follow-up was, what is wrapped Bitcoin and why would you use wrapped Bitcoin? Do one of you guys want to take that?
Yeah, pretty much it's just transforming or preparing your Bitcoin or transforming your Bitcoin. Whatever. You turn your Bitcoin into something that can be used on a different network where you can take it to go and earn interest. And you take it onto some things called decentralized finance applications. And, there's a host of things you could do. But that's it.
Beautiful. It extends the velocity of your asset. Go ahead, Alex. I rugged you.
No, it's just it lets you use Bitcoin in places where you could normally not use Bitcoin for things that you could normally not do with Bitcoin. And the same is
Yeah.
true for wrapping anything.
I think about it like a different file type on your computer. Like if you have an application that only accepts JPEG files and you have a PNG picture, you might need to save it as a JPEG before you can open it in that other application. And similarly, if you want to use your Bitcoin on the Ethereum network or the Solana network or whatever, you can't just send Bitcoin to that address. It'll be irretrievable. And therefore, it must be put into a wrapper and then eventually unwrapped. But for all intents and purposes, it's the same token. This is why I tell people, if you're going to accumulate something like ETH or you're going to buy it or use it all the time, why not use a layer 2 where it's cheaper and you're not going to pay as much in gas? Save yourself some money. Now, what about this other question about scams and schemes? One of the comments said the most common scam is crypto, be bullish. It's going up. But I feel like the most common scam is probably pig butchering scams. At least that's what I tend to see the most of. What do you see? And then we'll explain them.
What do I see the most of?
I don't know. What I see the most of are just very public rug pulls.
Okay. Define what a rug pull is so that somebody can learn to identify it and avoid it.
Yeah. So what it is you have a new project that's released. Let's say price goes up, and then the team sells all of the tokens that they have, or even worse, let's say it's a crypto where you can stake. They take the cryptos that are being staked and also take those and sell all of those too, and then the project goes. So it's a way for people to dive in with their liquidity because they're excited about a new investment, and then for the team to take all of that liquidity and run away with it. How you can identify it? It gets a little tricky, but what you can do is you can go use a block explorer, which is a way to go and view wallets associated with various crypto projects. And if you go in and you see wallets that aren't associated to smart contract wallets, so they're not associated to the actual project, and you see that some of the wallets have very, 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 very high percentage of the total supply, it's not a guarantee, but it's just an added risk that this may be something that could be a rug pull.
Interesting. And I would also say another thing you can do is you can use a tool like rugcheck.xyz. You can use a tool like Soul Sniffer, Token Sniffer. There are a lot of patterns you can identify. And if this is something like you're like, wait, what's a blockchain explorer? I don't know how to use it. What's RugCheck? I want to tell you about a resource that we have right now that you can watch after this is over. One of our YouTube videos at the Rise Up YouTube channel, you can find that by searching Faceless Labs or the Rise Up Morning Show on YouTube, is called The Most Important Skill in Crypto, How to Read a Blockchain Explorer. It's a short video. It's about 20 minutes long, and Alex and I walk you through the step-by-step process that you can follow to start reading the information on a blockchain for yourself. This comes from a playlist that we have called Web3 101, where we also, I'll say, have a pretty strong video. Oh, is it going to let me see it? No, it's probably not. We also have a pretty strong video about how you can start, if you're playing in the meme coin casino where rug pulls are the most common, how you can start to identify whether or not a token is a rug pull, how you can identify important metrics like liquidity, the master metric for meme coin traders. Will, I'm going to close it. Thank you very much for the screen share. And all of that is available.
Crypto.com a free ad.
Yeah, sorry. Which, by the way, if we had to nominate the worst ads in crypto.
Oh, the worst ads in crypto, at least
my
on TikTok.
God, crypto.com, if you're watching, what are you doing?
Your TikToks
Big
are
one.
horrible.
Okay, Alex, you said not necessarily rug pulls. I want to talk about pig butchering scams, but what did you say? Impersonators, or did you say something else?
Well, but the impersonators are usually leading you to a pig butchering scam. So that's typically like, I think phishing is still by volume. Phishing is the most common.
Yeah.
Sending somebody a bad link and tricking them into a connection and draining a wallet. That's the most common. Phishing scams are everywhere, not just in crypto, but
sure,
all over the place.
How do you avoid them?
Don't click links.
And how do you recognize them? Because part of a phishing scam is usually that they're deceitful. You get an email that appears to be from Coinbase, right?
Listen, yeah, the best thing you can do is get out of the habit of scanning QR codes from people you don't know, especially on the cell phone that you use for all of your stuff. That's got all your accounts logged into and quick unlock. Don't scan QR codes. Just the same way that you wouldn't download an attachment from an email that you aren't expecting to get. don't do it from a text message. Don't do it from an email. Don't do it from a DM. If anyone that you are not expecting to receive a link from sends you a link to anything, do not click it. Just don't.
Yeah. And the other thing too, the email, I get so many where it's like pretending to be Coinbase. I think I probably get like 1 or 2 a day or something like that. It's
Pretending
crazy.
to be Coinbase, pretending to be Trezor, pretending to be the Postal Service, pretending to be anything.
Yeah. Always, what I always do is I always go, nah, I don't think so. And then I go and I click like the actual from email address, and it's like abcx² @ hotmail.com. Like, that's not Coinbase.
Right.
That's not Coinbase.
Yeah. So yeah,
Also,
that's
guys,
probably.
I have
That's probably it.
pretty hard stop at 9:30.
Oh, you do? Well, then, really quick, before you get stopped pretty hard, why don't you give us a final thought, a question, suggestion, a good joke? Or I thought that was kind of funny too.
Yeah, that was good. The only thing I'll say is I will repeat what I tweeted earlier this morning, which is that crypto seems big to us if you stay just in the crypto world, but the crypto market is very small as compared to the U.S. what's happening in the U.S. economy, global markets, and the like. And just like how, if you're looking at TA, the 3-month chart is more important than the monthly chart, which is more important than the weekly chart, which is more important than the daily chart, which is more important than the 4-hour chart, right? The further zoomed out you are from a TA standpoint, the more likely you are to understand what the overarching trend is to be able to create your strategy. It's just like that with markets. What's happening in the altcoin market is dependent on what's happening in the Bitcoin market, which is dependent on what's happening in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, which is dependent on what's happening with global trade and economic policies, which is largely being influenced by political relationships, geopolitics, and macroeconomic events.
You're telling me politics and crypto are related?
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. Wow. But I got to go, guys. Fun show. I'll see you guys later.
Much love
Bye.
to you. Bye for now, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. William Watson. And if you want to follow him on Twitter to get tweets like that, he is at Coin Guide, Coin Guide WW. And we can check that out. Now, if you've got a final thought, a question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom for the show, we want to hear from you. And do be sure, if you haven't yet, to check out the Discord server. The Rise Up Discord server is totally free. Lots of good resources. Learners at all levels of experience are there. Great place to ask a question like this. Get help even when we are not around. And if you want more of the Rise Up Morning Show, well, good news is we'll be back tomorrow. We're here Monday through Thursday, live at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And you can check out all of our past episodes on our YouTube channel. Just search The Rise Up Morning Show or visit theriseupmorningshow.com to find all of our social links at a screen near you. Now, I want to make my last thought pig butchering scams, because this is the most common sort of scam that I see. Go ahead, Alex.
I too have a hard stop.
Oh, do you? Well, then, before you
my-
get stopped hard, do you want to give us a final thought question? You know, I'm trying to get it in there.
No, today was really good. I didn't even realize how much time had flown past. It feels like, I mean, my final thought will be, regardless of what the markets are doing, we're not going anywhere, because the stuff that we talk about is relevant regardless of the price of your favorite altcoin. And I was the tweet that I just reposting today's episode on the old tweet machine
On the old TL.
I just love doing this way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, we did this for December was our 2-year anniversary. We did this for how long to no viewers, and now that people come and hang out with us and listen to us yap all the time, I wouldn't do anything else. So regardless of how long we stay bearish or how much worse it gets, still be here every day doing the thing. I don't think I have really much else. Today felt like a good one. I would just leave you with the word of encouragement to fact check everything that you hear from people on social media,
Fact check
especially
yourself, brother.
now, because as you might notice from perusing crypto content, there's a lot of people who are concerned about the direction the market's going, and they're looking for someone to make them feel better about the position that they're in. And I find that to be not be very valuable. So just be careful of that, because people will manipulate your desire to hear something encouraging in order to, lead you astray. and that's just a right shame. So hold people accountable, fact check everything that you hear, and don't click on links from people that you aren't expecting to receive a link from.
Don't click that link.
I will absolutely.
And
Ladies and gentlemen,
final shout out to the one and only Nick Johnson for being the first and only person to recognize my Pizza Planet shirt for as cool.
oh
as
my God, Pizza Planet. Claps in the chat for Alex. Claps for Pizza Planet. Thank you for doing the show with me, brother. And you and Will and
Always.
everybody watching. It's the best part of my morning, man. So I will say bye to you for now. We'll see you in the chat. And then I'm going to stay with you just to wrap up that question. I want to tell you about pig butchering. So I'll see you later, brother.
Good deal. Yeah. And I think it was Jeff. I'm sorry if I'm remembering who asked wrong. For the person who wanted a little bit more technical details about what wrapping is and how it works.
I'll take care of him. Hey,
Okay,
are you
sweet.
you're gonna
I'll
share
share
what?
some stuff in Discord. And
Okay.
if I haven't done I think I did a wrapping crypto in 60 seconds video, but if not, I will film it today. So
I think I did too.
I'll see you
We'll
guys.
both put them in the Discord and we'll see you later, Alex. Jeff, but the TLDR for you, and let me get to it after I talk about pig butchering scams, because really, if you're watching, this is like the end of the show. You're like, get the hell out of here. But this is the most common scam that I personally see in crypto, and I also think it's the easiest to identify and avoid. So I'd really like to tell you about it really quickly. Pig butchering scams. Write that down. Look it up. The FTC, the CIA. Lots of 3-letter organizations will have helpful websites where they give you examples of this kind of thing, the signs to spot it, how to avoid it, keep yourself safe. But it is named for the practice of fattening a pig up before you slaughter it. And pig butchering scams are easily recognizable because any scam where you are usually lured to or approached cold by a website, a trusted individual, somebody who looks like me or Alex or Will or another creator you follow, might reach out to you and say, hey, how's your trading going? Or say, hey, would you like to make some passive income? I'm earning $70,000. You see a comment, somebody says, I'm so glad I'm earning $70,000 every week now. I can quit my job thanks to whatever. You go to this website, you click this link, and you see this really professional interface that says, earn passive income. Look at all our trusted advisors. Look at all these testimonials. And it's got a little pop-up on the screen maybe that says, Angela from Ecuador just earned $2,000. Elio from Italy just earned $3,000. Do you want to create an account? Do you want to invest today? You can get started with as little as $100. And you sign up and you create an account and you're taken to their app page. And boy, does it look good. It's so flashy and clean and easy. You can connect your bank to it. They would prefer that you pay them in crypto, but no matter. You send them some money, and then your trusted friend is checking in on you, seeing how you're doing, and showing you somehow. Maybe they have a graph or a chart that shows your money once you've deposited it going up. And maybe if they're really, really, really sophisticated, this happens a lot more than you think. They say, hey, here's your money's doubled. Here's $200. They actually send you money. And then they say, now that you've taken profits, since it's going so well, wouldn't you like to invest more? And that's how they got you. You ask your friends for money. You tell your family about it. Everybody you know, you get them to invest. And then one day, your trusted friend disappears. The person who's been messaging you or the website, it stops working. Or maybe you just decide, holy cow, my $100 or my $100,000 has turned into $1 million. I want to withdraw some of this and go buy a boat. And so you try to, but you get an error message. It's not working. So you contact their support if the website's still up. And they say, oh, so sorry. You actually have to pay a $500 withdrawal fee. So you pay the fee. And then nothing happens. So you try to withdraw your money again. And they say, oh, so sorry, we forgot. Because you're in the US, you have to wait 14 days. And then you wait 14 days. And if the website is still up, they say, okay, great. We're going to send you a token to, Coinbase or Binance or whatever. It's called WLBTC or SPUSDC, whatever. It's some weird token. And it seems to be legit. It's got a chart. It's got a price. But when it gets to your wallet, you can't sell it. Nobody trades it. And eventually, these all end the same way. The website is gone. The person who reached out to you stops talking to you. And you are left wondering, what will happen? Can I get my money back? Can I get my money back? And that's when you message somebody like me. I can't tell you, seriously, truly. I don't mean to be melodramatic about it, but I can't tell you how many messages I get. And I know Alex gets and Will gets. Almost every day. I get dozens of these a week. From somebody telling me about a scam like this. And usually it starts, hey, can you help me get my money back? And I got to be the one to tell them, I'm so sorry, your money is gone. The bad news is that in cases like this, because you've transferred crypto, because these people are often engaged in other kinds of crime like identity theft, they've laundered the money, it's gone forever. Most people who are scammed by pig butchering never get their money back. And so that is why it's so important for you to know about these kinds of scams, because when you know, they are easy to spot. They're so easy to spot. Anything that promises, super passive income, passive trading, we will do it for you, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now. Those kind of things, they are too good to be true. They're a scam. So, my friends, all of that to say, you don't have to be going at this alone. You really should have a friend who's been here before, who knows a little more about this. And that's why we want you to keep coming back to the show. Ask us before you buy that. Send it to a friend in the Rise Up Discord server before you send them money. Don't let that be the way you find out that it's a scam. Let it be because somebody told you. And then the last thing I'll say, and we'll move on, is don't trust anybody afterwards who reaches out to you if you've been scammed like that, who poses as a cybersecurity expert, a Bitcoin recovery expert, who says, I can unlock your account, I can get your money back. Those people are also trying to scam you. Many times it's the same people. They've got your number from before, and they'll reach out to you too, and they'll say, hey, I heard you might have been scammed. I help people get their money back. Send me $1,000 and I'll get yours back too. No. It's a scam. So I thank you for all the comments here, because it seems like this is a pretty common experience. Even if you can track them on the inside, even if you can see what the scammers did with your money, you still can't get it back. I'm so sorry to say it. My friends, that's going to be the second to last thing. The last thing is Jeff. Wrapping just means putting your token in a format so it can be used other places. Every token has a native network, because blockchains, they're ledgers, they're records. Like a checkbook is a record, okay? But the network is also, the ledger is also a network. It's many different computers who are maintaining a copy of this ledger. They all use a common protocol, for example, the Bitcoin code. But let's say the members of the Ethereum network, which is a different ledger maintained by different machines. Sometimes the actors are the same. A lot of people maintain multiple nodes. Let's say they want to use Bitcoin too. Well, they need Bitcoin that works in a format that the Ethereum network can read, can accept. The same way that if you had a file on your MacBook PC or your Windows PC or in Microsoft Word that you wanted to open in Excel, maybe the information is the same, but the format is not readable in both places. If you have something you want to say to your friend who lives in Ecuador, you might need to translate it into Spanish. The meaning is the same. Similarly, Bitcoin or CB Bitcoin or wrapped Bitcoin or sometimes liquid staked is a way we refer to wrapped assets. These are all different ways to refer to assets that have been wrapped, which is to say their format has been changed in some way, translated to make that same unit, whether it's a unit of value or meaning, readable on a different network to different users. It extends the function and the velocity of, in this case, the value of Bitcoin. On Bitcoin network, you can't really allocate your Bitcoin to a DeFi protocol. You can't really lend it. So we've got wrapped Bitcoin in Coinbase's CB Bitcoin that will allow you to take your Bitcoin, trade it for CB Bitcoin, which is backed 1-to-1, and then go do DeFi stuff with it on the base network, like lend it to other people. So you can earn interest on your Bitcoin. And then when you're done, you take it back and you unwrap it. Usually you pay a transaction fee because it's on chain, but some places you don't have to. It's a rabbit hole, let me tell you what. And no, you can't buy all Bitcoin from all blockchains because you'd have to have a lot of money. But if you did have that money, then let's say you bought wrapped Bitcoin somewhere, what you're really buying is an IOU to a Bitcoin. There are not more wrapped Bitcoin than there are Bitcoin. In order to get a wrapped Bitcoin, you have to trade a Bitcoin to somebody else who presents the wrapped Bitcoin to you, sort of like a coupon. It's like when you go bowling and you give them your shoes and they give you bowling shoes. Like, it's shoes either way, but it's not like they send your shoes somewhere else in the meantime. It's not like double spending the shoes or double spending the Bitcoin. They hold on to your Bitcoin in the meantime. And then when you're done with your wrapped Bitcoin, you swap it back. Does that make sense? Is it true Bitcoin is preferable to hackers because it's not easy to track? No, it's just as easy to track as ETH. It is super easy to track. probably the reason it's preferred by them is because it might be easier to launder. There are a lot more infrastructure pieces that make it easier to turn Bitcoin into cash without being observed. And it's not because the nature of Bitcoin is different than the nature of ETH. It's just because there's more infrastructure. There's Bitcoin ATMs everywhere. You know, I just show up in my hoodie, withdraw it, you'll never know who I am. Yeah, Amsfar's point is probably true. It's actually probably easier to track because there are more nodes, more users of the network, more websites that support the discovery of information about Bitcoin. Jerry, good question. Where can we understand how liquidity pools work? Listen, man, you guys are asking all the good questions at the end. I want to tell you real quick, Web3 101 is Wednesday. Wednesday, we are trying to do a show every week for like just question and answer, as rapid fire as possible, and especially for beginners. So if you're somebody who's like, wow, liquidity pool, wrapped Bitcoin, this is way beyond my head. Don't worry, don't fret. We can help you get up to speed too. And Wednesday is especially our day dedicated to that. So come back then, come back anytime, jump in the Discord, ask your questions, and really, truly do check out the classes at theriseuppmorningshow.com. You can get the recordings there. I made those courses. There are 4 of them so that anybody can go from like 0 to crypto, become a safe, competent user. All the skills I think you need to know to become what I would say is a level 1 functional crypto user. Really can't stress that enough. theriseuppmorningshow.com. But Jerry, liquidity pools, I need to do a video on this. A liquidity pool is one of the cool killer apps of crypto. In traditional finance, you need businesses who make the market, meaning the NASDAQ only operates from 9 to 5 right now because that's the only time it wants to staff people. It pays people to maintain the ledgers and the computer codes that facilitate the trading activity. Your bank does this too. At the back end of every transaction, at some point, probably many points along the way in the middle, there are people who approve things, who process things, who do a job that ultimately a computer could do better. And not just better from a term of like better processing, less errors, but without a need to trust it. You know, when I pick up my calculator to do math, it does it fast. It never makes a mistake, but I don't have to trust that it's going to do me right. I just have to be able to know a little bit of math and know, is it functioning properly according to its programming? Now, what blockchains do is they say, we're going to replace the humans in the middle of these functions, for example, collecting payments or transferring information that represents money, with pieces of code. And we're going to make these pieces of code transparent so anybody anywhere can see them. And therefore, if something goes wrong, somebody takes over, we can trust them. We can propose changes to them, yada, yada, yada. But they'll automatically handle that. So they can be open 24/7, and they remove the need to have a human in the middle of a transaction, like swapping one kind of cryptocurrency for another. You know, you don't have to go to a kiosk and hand somebody your dollars and get euros back. No, you just interact with this computer. We call it protocol. So this makes it possible to do something called automated market making. And this is what liquidity pools do. A liquidity pool is a piece of computer code that facilitates the transfer from one type of cryptocurrency to another. Now, remember, I said before that this is just ledgers. Cryptocurrency networks, they're ledgers, and they don't physically exist. The information that represents your crypto doesn't physically exist. It's just reassignments of information on a ledger. Evan, or in this case, you know, because we're using private keys, 0x12345 bought Bitcoin, $10 of Bitcoin to 0x12345 from, you know, whoever I bought it from, Coinbase's account, whatever. Now, when I want to swap that for something else, what I'm doing is I'm interacting with a piece of computer code that will check that I have permission to swap Bitcoin. Does Evan have $10 of Bitcoin? Yes. Evan wants to swap it for USDC. Great. A liquidity pool is a piece of computer code where several people have come to say, I will temporarily give you, the pool, the smart contract, the computer code, the right to use my assets. Let's say my $10 of Bitcoin, to facilitate the business of swapping other people's crypto. So instead of relying on Western Union or a money market exchange or the NASDAQ or whatever, you know, the currency counter at your bank, now this computer code is allowing us to put up money for other people to do that thing. That, in essence, is what a liquidity pool is. It is a computer code that tracks the swapping of one asset for another. Usually, assets are paired in a liquidity pool, USDC and Bitcoin, or Bitcoin and ETH.
so that when people want to swap one for the other, in the background, what's happening is they're interacting with this piece of computer code that just does it for them. Now, if you want to participate in this, you become what's called a liquidity provider. This is a person who contributes to the pool your assets, like Bitcoin and USDC. Let's say I want to be a liquidity provider. I'm going to give them some Bitcoin and an equal amount of USDC. And then when people trade those two things, I'm going to swap my USDC for Bitcoin. I'm going to swap my Bitcoin for USDC. We, the people who lent our money in the pool, we get a cut of that. The pools take a fee. And it's lower than the fee your bank charges because they don't need to pay overhead for employees. They just got that computer code and, a gas fee, and they want to reward us. In a lot of DeFi protocols, the mechanics of how these fees are taken and rewarded are different. And that's what makes like DeFi so fun and so limitless is these are infinitely programmable. You might have many different assets you can choose from. You might be able to provide liquidity only at a certain price range. When Bitcoin is at this price to this price, my liquidity will facilitate those transfers, and you can earn a higher rate for having a narrower range. It's honestly, it's a whole nother class. And we happen to have a how to DeFi class that goes deeper into detail and really sets you up with the foundational skills. Because I see a lot of people are scrolling. They're like, whoa, this is way beyond me. But it doesn't have to be. DeFi is decentralized finance, and simply is the process of allowing you to do the job that middlemen in the financial industry have done and to earn a cut for it, to take on the risk and to take the profit for it. You can learn how to do it. It's a great way to earn passive income on your crypto. You don't just have to speculate. You can get USDC or another such asset that's as stable as a government currency and earn interest on it. Be your own bank. That is one of the promises of crypto, and you should learn how to do it because you can. Evan, do you like Caleb and Brown? I don't know them personally. We got a solicitation from them. They reached out to us at the Rise Up Morning Show email and said they might like to work with us. I understand they're an exchange or a broker in Australia that offers a more like handheld service. Is that right? They make it easier for you to buy and sell cryptocurrency assets and kind of take care of it for you. Like maybe they assign you a personal broker, or it sounds like Coinbase or something like it, but just a little more personal and high touch, which I think is really great. They have a great reputation. I haven't talked to them personally or done the deep dive on their services. So let me know what you think. And let me know, would you like to see us partner with somebody like them? Because it sounds like they might be a reputable company. Okay, my friends, that's it. That's it. We got to take our dogs and our ponies on the road. We're getting out of here. The Rise Up Morning Show is riding to the sunset. But come back and join us again tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And in the meantime, jump in the Discord server. It's discord.gg/riseup. Check out the class recordings on the riseupmorningshow.com, and don't hesitate to ask us a question anytime. As always, my friends, thank you for being the best part of what we do. Until tomorrow, everybody, stay safe, be well,